Three top 25 teams go down on Saturday, all three facing ranked teams. The day started with number 16 Utah losing at home to number 17 Texas Tech. Red Raiders backup quarterback Will Hammond threw for 2 touchdowns in relief of injured starter Baron Morton. Then number 22 Auburn lost to number 11 Oklahoma. The Sooners racked up a school record 10 sacks, but then the NCAA just said, hey, you know what? It's not 10 sacks. We're changing it to 9 sacks. So the NCAA has the final word. It's not a record 10 sacks. It's 9 sacks for the Sooners. Didn't matter as dominant against the Tigers. In the nightcap, number 9 Illinois gets crushed by number 19 Indiana. Game was over at halftime. Hoosiers quarterback Fernando Mendoza, 15 of 17 for 220 yards and 4 touchdowns in the first half. Back here with Beanie Wells, Richard Johnson, and let's welcome in our friend, 24/7 Sports college football analyst Brad Crawford, here to look ahead to the top 25. New poll released on Sunday. Number 19 Indiana dominates number 9 Illinois. Brad, how high do the Hoosiers move up in the rankings?
Yeah, there's a chance that the Hoosiers could be in that top 12 after Illinois top 10 team got embarrassed at home. And how about Mendoza, man? Maybe one of the Heisman frontrunners heading into week 5 after just another expert play from Kirk Cignetti getting that quarterback from the transfer portal. Kirk Cignetti took his Indiana program last year to the playoff, man, and now one of its toughest games is over, and they have a quality win to boot. So the Hoosiers are a team that I'm high on, and I'm sure AP voters will be too.
How surprised were you when you got a chance to see Illinois and their lack thereof offense in this football game? Because I know we all anticipated them playing a whole lot better.
Yeah, I thought Luke Altmaier would play a lot better on the road. And, you know, that line, Beanie, it kept changing throughout the week, 3.5, 4.5. Then it grew to almost 7 by kickoff, and that's kind of a danger zone. Indiana plays pretty well at home under Kirk Cignetti. But unlike last season, a lot of the playoff committee was talking about Indiana's lack of strength of schedule. That changes now. You've got a top 10 win under your belt here in week 4, and you still play Penn State and Oregon. All you got to do is split those 2 games, and you're probably in the playoff once again.
Brad, how far do you think Illinois tumbles after this game? In my opinion, Illinois should be out of the top 25. You don't get to stay in the top 25 if you lose by 53 points. I'm sorry, you don't get to stay in the party, in my opinion.
I think Illinois will be in the low 20s still. You know, they had a lot benefit of the doubt coming into this game. That win at Duke, by the way, Richard, Duke did beat an unbeaten NC State team today, so that probably helps Illinois a little bit on the strength of voters. And we've already seen, fellas, the last couple of weeks, there are several voters in this AP poll who don't watch the games. They just check scores and you know, highlights and that sort of thing. So I do think Illinois will still be ranked, but, man, Big Ten title hopes, those are probably over for Brett Bielema's squad.
Well, that's why we'll sit here and talk about top 25 look ahead, but we all know that what really matters is when the college football playoff rankings are out. Like, it's fun to sit here up here and talk about it, but that's also the problem when you have voters who are just blindly looking at games and going, we didn't really watch it. Because, Brad, I don't know if you know, I'm starting a campaign for Fernando Mendoza. He has the second best odds behind only John Mateer, as the Sooners spoiled Jackson Arnold's return to Norman, where it was WrestlePalooza. It was already started. Oklahoma had a school record 10 sacks, Brad, and then the NCAA said, no. We're going to change it. It's only 9. This Oklahoma team, Brad, this is a top 10 team.
And it all started with Brent Venables deciding to call the defense this season. Had he done that 3 years ago, maybe OU would already have a playoff appearance under his reign. But, man, so far through week 4, Oklahoma looks the part. They were kind of a dark horse SEC title contender this summer coming in, but they have shown it through these first 4 games. John Mateer playing lights out. You saw he hit a wide-open touchdown pass here. Auburn did have a touchdown call back in that game. The SEC's kind of talked about that a little bit afterwards. But in 2 weeks from now, Oklahoma, Texas, in the Cotton Bowl, that is going to be huge. And John Mateer is a guy who, along with Arch Manning, Mateer can kind of get into that Heisman race as one of the front runners if he wins these next couple games. I like what I've seen so far, and you already see there, he's got 2 signature wins, one against Michigan a couple weeks ago, big winner over Nebraska today, and then beating a then unbeaten Auburn team.
Brad, does Oklahoma get high enough to scare maybe the top 5? That Michigan win also looks a lot better after Michigan goes out and beats Nebraska today. How high do the Sooners go after this win?
Yeah, I think Oklahoma does crack the top 10, but they won't get any higher than 10 in my opinion. While the win over Auburn was quality, we don't know if Auburn's going to be a 10-win team, 9-win team or not this season. Oklahoma was favored to win that game, and now they've done it twice at home as a favorite. Beat Michigan a couple weeks ago, beat the Auburn Tigers today, but I do not see Oklahoma, scooting up near that top 5. I think they'll be in that 9 or 10 range Sunday morning.
While Oklahoma does look like a really good team on both sides of the ball, do you believe down the stretch they have a legitimate shot at winning the SEC title after looking at their schedule?
I don't think they're going to win the SEC, Beanie, but they are a team that I think has a legitimate shot at going 9-3 and being one of those multi-loss at-large selections from the SEC because they've already got 2 top 25 winners under their belt. I think Michigan and Auburn, those wins are going to carry water moving forward, and they play 5 or 6 ranked teams still. So Oklahoma is going to take some losses eventually, but I do think the schedule sets up, since it's elite enough, for the committee to really take that into consideration and perhaps get Oklahoma into that maybe 10 or 11 seed in the playoff.
Oklahoma is just going to flip-flop spots with Illinois. Get them out. Richard says get them out of the party. We're going to be certainly out of the top 10, and Oklahoma's going to move right in there. The College Football Playoff Selection Committee will release its first rankings on Tuesday, November 4th. Brad Crawford is going to give us his top 12 teams each and every week leading up to the CFP rankings. Brad, take us through your top 12 predictions for this Sunday.
Yeah, this Sunday in the AP poll, I think Ohio State having the open date, they're going to still be number 1. Penn State at 2. I do think Miami jumps LSU to 3. I know LSU beat Southeastern Louisiana Saturday night, but Miami's defensive dominated game against Florida was very impressive. I think voters are going to take that into consideration. Georgia and Oregon round out my top 6. And then Florida State, Texas, Texas A&M, OU, Ole Miss, and Iowa State. Ole Miss right now with Chambliss at quarterback, that's a team, man, that is sneaking up on that outside playoff picture spot. And now with zero hype heading into this season, maybe Lane Kiffin gets to the playoff for the first time.
Brad, how far is Texas Tech from your top 12? Because they went on the road and got a huge win against Utah. How close are they?
Yeah, I've got Texas Tech at number 13. I think they'll be 13th in Sunday's poll. They've been my preseason Big 12 favorite. I picked the Red Raiders to beat Utah today. I was very impressed with what they did coming off the bench with Will Hammond. 24 fourth-quarter points, very impressive there. And Texas Tech's defense, they've never been this good up front, at least not in the last 5 to 10 years. And they have a team that's built through the portal and looks the part through week 4.
Richard, you got any problems with this top 12 there? What stuck out to you?
I think it looks good to me. He's telling you where Texas Tech is, so
Yep.
All right, Texas Tech's right there. All right, I got you. Brad, how high do you think Ole Miss can get this season? Bang the steel drum for the man Trinidad Chambliss. They got Tulane absolutely out the paint today. That's a good Tulane football team. They dominated.
Yeah, it's not a good look for the American the last 2 weeks, Richard, with USF getting blown out at Miami and then Tulane going to Ole Miss and having the same, behind the woodshed beating at the hands of the Rebels. I like this Lane Kiffin team, partly because there's not a ton of hype behind it. Chambliss has outplayed Austin Simmons at quarterback, a bunch of no-names through the portal defensively, playing pretty good on that side of the ball. And Ole Miss's schedule, that's what's so important in the SEC. It is favorable compared to a lot of these other perceived elites. So I think the better question for Ole Miss is how are the Rebels going to look moving forward a couple of weeks from now after they've already played Auburn, Oklahoma, and a few others.
Brad, I like your list, but hear me out. I may be a prisoner of the moment, but I would have to put Oklahoma above Texas. And reason being was I like Oklahoma's defense, but John Mateer, we haven't seen anything out of that Texas offense yet that says, they're one of those top-tier teams in the country.
Yeah, I would put Oklahoma ahead of Texas too right now, but this is how I think the AP voters are going to vote Sunday morning. I think Oklahoma, if those two matched up tomorrow, the Sooners would be a 3.5 to 4-point favorite in that game.
Always love the conversation. Brad Crawford, Beanie Wells, and Richard Johnson here on CBS Sports HQ. Men, thank you. Another great week of college football as we take a look at the odds to win the national championship. Number 1 Ohio State, now tied with Penn State for the best odds to win the national title. Texas and Oregon at plus 700. The last school to win back-to-back natties, Georgia in 2021 and 2022, and they're just a bit down the board at plus 750 to win it all.